Solidworks and it's asking me inches, pounds, seconds, thousands, right? So if you download it to your actual computer, it's sometimes going to do it in the metric system because it's just more widely known. So that's how you change it. But if not, you come down here and you change it down here, all right? To change your measurements. So I'm just going to do this drawing as we said it earlier, right? So I'm going to do flats and 2 slots on them, all right? So I'm going to go to sketch, sketch my drawing. I'll make mine on the top plane. Come over here, center rectangle, bring that one out, smart dimension, make my top one, that's 8 inches. All right, hit the one on the side, that's 4.5. And I could extrude this one, right? I could go to features, extrude. So that bottom part is 0.625, correct? 0.625. Bam. So I can hit a check mark, or I'll just hit the check mark. We could have made the slots first, but if we didn't, it's not a big deal, right? Because we can still do it later on. We're just gonna have one extra sketch. That's it. So I'm just gonna go back to sketch, sketch, hit the top part, bring it over here, so I'm in the top view. I could go ahead and go to center rectangle again. When I come up here, guys, you see how I highlight that line? That's adding a relation to it. So that's gonna stay on that line. So I can't make this line any bigger once I highlight that line, because it's gonna stay with that line, correct? So it's gonna make a relation with it. So click it there, come over to smart dimension, put it up here, and tell it that's 5 inches. Check mark, features, extrude, so that's what, 0.375? Enter, get my check mark, there I go, right? There's my step. So now I'm gonna do my actual slots. So for this, I'm just gonna go to sketch, sketch. I'm gonna click on this plane, or I can click on that plane, but I just gotta go all the way through, right? Either or, but I'm just gonna click on that one because that's what we're actually gonna be on for the slots going down, correct? So come back up here, I'm gonna go ahead and make a center line. So I'm gonna go to midpoint, bring it up, construction, check mark, and another one the other way for construction, check mark. There I go, right? So now I'm gonna come over here to a straight slot, put it anywhere I want to right now. Click it up, bring it down, and then move it to the left or the right, boom, there it is, right? Now I'm going to dimension it. So I'm going to go vertically from this top to this. That is 0.937, right? 0.937. Enter. So this radius 0.281. So that controls how thick it is, correct? So now, we're missing a number on this blueprint. The distance from here to here.
I got everything. Do what you need.
From up here,
On the top.
It's that center point.
The center of the top radius line.
The center from the top circle,
One
on that
point.
slot.
right
Right
here.
there, the top line is 1.032. There, so there, 1.032.
Thank you. All right, and now I'm just missing from the side, right? From here to here, it was
The right side over there.
407, right?
Yeah.
4070.
4.0.
0.4070.
No, we're confused. 407, right?
Yes.
Alright. So obviously I have 2 decimal points, right? If you're like me and Corey, that's gonna drive us nuts, right? Because it doesn't match the paper. So I'm gonna come up here, go to edit my units. 3 spots, 3 spots, 3 spots. If you wanna do 4, you can do 4, right? But I at least want my 3. Boom. So there goes that one, right? So now, I don't wanna sit here and write all those numbers and the distances and everything for all of them, right? So I could go to mirror entities. Click on this that I just made. Notice it made the whole slot. Not just a line, not just an arc, the whole slot, right? Mirror about, and yes, I'm gonna copy it. Mirror about this one, there it goes. So check mark. Mirror entities, mirror that one, and that one, about this one. Boom, there we go, right? So now I'm gonna extrude that down, extrude cut. How far? It remembers the last unit. But like I said, once we get into this a little bit more, we could go with the more features down here. So if I go to up to surface, it's asking me what surface are you talking about? The bottom part, right? That one. Check mark. Boom. There I go. Too easy? Alright, so that's my part. So I'm gonna go file, save as. I'm just gonna name this.
Slot block.
Yeah, slot block, that's fine.
So about
Oh.
Some Middle Eastern stuff.
Alright, slot block, right? And save. So now I'm gonna go to file, new, and I'm gonna make a new drawing from what I just made, correct?
Yeah.
Hit okay. These are the different sizes. The part that we're doing is fine on portrait. Like I said, most mills are done on portrait, most lathes go on landscape, right? If you pick these bigger ones, obviously they have a bigger height and width, bigger sheets basically. So I'm gonna go to portrait. You see how it's an 8.5 by 11, correct? If I go to that landscape one, B is 17 by 11, so the paper is bigger, right? And the average size paper is 8.5 by 11. D is 34 inches by 22 inches. E is 44 inches. And when you get down here,
What size are you living room?
yeah, that's the really, really big ones, right?
A4.
Huh?
A4.
46 inches by 33. Alright, so we're just gonna get portrait, 8.5 by 11, correct? Hit OK, so it gives it to me. Now, when you first have your drawing on the left hand side right here, that's gonna be your main one. Notice how model view is selected. So if you accidentally click something that you don't want and you gotta delete it, to get another drawing here, you gotta go back to model view. Does that make sense? I know some of you guys made that problem already. And if that happened, you just exit all the way out and went all the way back in. That's fine if you wanna do that, but you go back to model view, right? So I'm gonna double click my slot block. Now notice that it's giving me my front view first, correct? But I want my top view. There goes my top. Now, if I just scroll under this one, it gives me my bottom view also, correct? If I go to the right, it gives me my right view. Left, it gives me my left view. Up, over here, that's already giving me my ISO view without me having to make it, right? So on this one, I could drop it like that, right? Sometimes though, you don't want your ISO view that big, because you're just gonna give them a preview of what it is. What's more important is this one right here with all the numbers on it, right? So I'm gonna come back here, come down, and hit the check mark. Hit OK. Bring it over. Now you see wherever I move this one follows, right? That's a curse and a blessing. But once you start using it a lot more, it's gonna get a lot easier. So click on that one though, Go to custom scale. Make it bigger. 1x2. 1x1's gonna be way too big. But I could go a 1x1.5.
That's the issue I was having, it wouldn't let me.
Scroll up, scroll up, scroll. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Use modified text or user defined.
And then you manually punch it.
Or the
that's-
1.5.
Yeah, I was wondering, cause every time I try to do it, I was like, it won't let me like put a custom.
There we go.
input.
So there goes my 1 and
Think outside the
1.5.
box. Think outside the block.
Yeah, think outside the.
Think
text
outside the
box.
slotted block.
Guys, it's been saying that since we got here. I'm gonna just use a 1x2. Do it a little bit smaller, right? Alright, so off the back, if you wanna go to annotation and go to model items, so it can try to give you almost everything that it remembers on it. Hit yes, boom. Does a lot of your work for you, right? Brings it in. So you can just move it and adjust it to anywhere you want. But let's say I wanted to make it just like the print, the one that we have right here, then I would have to delete the numbers that are in the wrong spot. So it's just clicking that one, hitting delete. This 4.5 is over here on the right. This 1.3, I believe it is right there. 2.81, we have it around there, correct? This 4.07 is under, right? So if I don't have it, I can use my smart dimension. From here to here, boom. Now I have it down here as my 4.7, right? And the other number that I need is the 4.4375. So if I click here, I scroll into it. If I can't hit the top, so, see how it took it in the middle, right? It didn't take the top. So what I could do is I could go to sketch, get a point, make a point there, right? And make a point there. Then hit my check mark. Now I go straight to those points. Does that make sense? Do you want to make this defined? Yes? Okay, cool. So that was just basically saying, hey, you could define it another way, you could have this, you could have that, but I want it there, so I just said yes. Go ahead and make it to 3 or 4 decimal places, we'll make this one 4. Hit the check mark, right? Other than that, I just have these down here, so I'm just gonna hit vertical from here to here. Give me this one. Here to here, gives me that one, correct? Hit the check mark.
But they're great.
Now, just like Corey, I said before, if you hold down control and click all these bad mamma jammas, right? Right click, change layer, format, hit enter,
Green check.
green check mark, there we go, right?
Oh, okay.
Do all that. Too easy? So, okay, one of you guys had this issue yesterday. Let's say that is a through hole, but like kind of like on a hexagon, on a polygon, right? It has the arrow and it says the depth of it, correct? So here's how you do that. You go to note. You just put it anywhere there. So you would put slots are through. So now this one is giving to you with an arrow, so it's an extra one, so I'm gonna hit escape. But I'm gonna click back on this one, and I'm gonna tell it, hey, I want an arrow on it. So you see how I brought the arrow down? So now I can control where that arrow goes. Too easy? So, and we remember how to put the extra information on this, right? So, in reality, if this print was an actual print, since that number is the same for all of these slots, right? I could come down here under dimension text, and I could put TYP, check mark. You see how right there now it says typical? So I would do that for all of them, right?
I know it went away.
For what?
Your notes.
Yeah, I erased it.
Oh.
Alright, so I would put typical on all these features, just so I don't get that student that says, well, I didn't have to put it there because you didn't put typical.
It's in the title book, Devin.
And you also do the hidden lines for the front view.
Yeah, so down here, I would click on this one so that it shows the slots going through, correct? And normally by ANSI, if you have something going through like that, or it's a hole, you will need a center line also, type thing. But with that, we know that it's going through, correct? So now, if I wanted to edit my block down here, I go to sheet format, edit sheet, and double click there, and then that's when I would put whatever information on there, right? So if I'm doing it, if this is something for like NOV, I would put NOV on there, but, so I put LSC, so we don't get sued by NOV, LOC 001, right? So you save, whenever you're machining out there in the real world, you save your programs like this because the blueprint has a drawing number on it. So that drawing number should be specialized towards that company. You know, Slumberjay, number 3. Or Slumberjay's drawings are part of the, you know, DW or SH or whatever, 44685.
They keep like a log book and so you
Yeah.
know which numbers next.
There should, well, the company does, but if you work for a job shop, you don't keep that. So the job shop is gonna call it whatever number the real shop or the parent shop called it, right? And when I save it on the CNC, I'm gonna save it as that drawing number. So whenever I get that job again 3 months later, I can just search that drawing number and pull it up from there, and hopefully it was good to go and I have no edits to make on it. Does that make sense? So there's that. And I could put right here, you know, Lone Star College, if I wanted to. Whatever you're gonna put on there so you can know that this is what it is. So here, 2 decimal places, I could put, hey, from here on 2 decimal places, tolerance is 10 thousandths, 3 decimal places is 5 thousandths, right? So that class that we went through blueprint reading, and they told us to look at the title block, right? That's where all that information could go on there. Does that make sense? So now we're gonna hit the check mark. To get out of this, we need to go back to edit, sheet, up here. Click that one. Now when I scroll back out, boom. How pretty does that look?
It looks gooder if you have an ISO.
Put an ISO if you want, right? So, obviously they'll put the ISO, or I think I could just go to model view. Click that one. Click this one. Bring it in here. It's ISO view. But we know that we can make our own view any way we want if we go back to the other drawing, right? The other part. So the good thing about Solidworks is that it keeps this open, correct? So if I wanted to show my part like this, I just come up here, go to new view, and type there whatever I want, right? If I wanted ISO, I hit ISO.
And it
So,
screenshots it at that angle that you have it.
yeah. So it does ISO. If I want to move it like this and put ISO reverse, I can make an ISO reverse. Whatever I want to do, right? And remember guys, if you messed up on your drawing and you need to edit this one, you just go to your features that you had to edit. If that was 10 inches long, I'll push this arrow, come back to sketch, edit my sketch. Hey, the engineers really wanted this one 10 inches, not 8 inches, right? So we go to 10 inches, hit enter, it moved it. We gotta exit the sketch though, for it to follow on the other side, right? So we exit sketch, Now when I open up this one, see how it's thinking? So now it changed that to the 10 inches, correct? Without me having to do that, the drawing all over again or anything, right? So I'm gonna change it back to 8 inches, so I'm gonna come back to it, go back to my edit sketch, double click that guy, 8, enter, exit my sketch, go back to that drawing, update it, roger that, boom, go back to our 8 inches. You tracking? So for each of your drawings, I want you to make your drawing in SolidWorks. So that make the part first, then make your drawing. I hate that SolidWorks titles it like that. They should have titled this blueprint, because that's what it is, right? Should have put the other one as a part. Well, they did put part, but well, I would say model or drawing. So the other one is you got to make your part first, then you make your blueprint. Then we're gonna take it into eSprit and start making our lines and our cuts, correct? So now, I would save this one as, because it's gonna save it as slot block still, right?
BP.
Yeah. So I would just put blueprint, and then hit save. It's telling me to save the other one too. So I'm just gonna hit save all. That's it, right? So that one is saved as blueprint on the title, and this one is still saved as my slot block, correct? Alright, so now we are good to go to import this into eSprit, correct? So,
Spray tray.
I just open up my eSprit. So obviously guys, you guys can see that I have the 2020 model. But I have the 2019 model for my SolidWorks. Some of you guys that purchased SolidWorks got the newer version. That's why it's giving you issues with this 2020 one when you try to put it in this one, right? So I'm gonna hit OK. Hit OK. All right. I don't care what that says. So now I'm gonna go to File, Open. Down here I'm gonna open up my SolidWorks files. SLD, PRT. I have nothing because it's trying to open something under eSprit files. I didn't save the other one in eSprit files, right? So I'm gonna go to quick access. So I know I saved it on my slot block. There goes the picture of it, right? Hit open. Boom. It's gonna come in as like this first. Very hard to see, right? So you're like, it didn't import it, correct? Well, all you gotta do is make it to the solid, right? So here it is. Now I'm gonna move these because I think they did install the deep freeze on this, so it moves it every single time now. Now, whenever you work for a shop, and if you're a programmer there, you're not gonna have this issue. The way that it's saved there, it's gonna continue to save it there constantly, right? You're not gonna have to redo it. On your personal computers, once you set this like this, it should be the same thing over and over again, right? So now I know that I have to make this Z be on its face, because if I push F7, look what happens. My part is actually above my 0 line, right? Why? Because I was extruding positive, correct? That's why it came above it, right? So, and plus it's not on the correct view that I want. So if I turn on my WXV, this is actually my Z towards me, this is my Y, and this is my X, correct? So if I just import it like this, I'm gonna have all kinds of trouble. That's saying that I'm gonna machine the part like this. Yeah, try to machine it like that on the mill with those slots right there. You're gonna have fun with that, right? So now we need to know how to make this face set at my Z 0, correct? So I'm gonna go to view, toolbars. I'm gonna go a little bit slow since some of you guys are writing. And then I'm gonna come over here to orientate part. See, I got this little window that popped up now. So now I'm gonna click sub elements, take off snap, take off grid, turn on high. This lets me click an individual face now, right? Snap and grid just let me click a solid, correct? So in this case, I could just select one surface or the other. Yeah, that would have been funny if we ran out of memory. So, what happened to the
Most important part?
No, let's just make sure it can see that bottom right, you can, so.
Alright, so I'm gonna click my face now, left click, and it's gonna ask me, hey, is this the face you really want? If it wasn't, I could right click, and now it's asking me for that solid, right? I could right click, and now it's saying, okay, maybe you make this one in the back, right? I could right click like saying no, then it's gonna say, well, I ain't got no more options for you, buddy, correct? So that one pretty much confirms what you want to click on, right? So if I want this face, it's asking me, is that the face you want? And if I left click, so yes, it's selected. But like I said, guys, if you want to make your life easier, go to tools, options, right here in the group items, pick a color that we can see, right? My daughters like pink. Princess says I had to pick the room pink, now some of my shorts are colored pink. So we're gonna go ahead and pick hot pink, alright? Hot pink, hit OK. Now, while you're here, we know we're gonna be doing toolpaths, right? And be running the simulator, correct? So we might as well go to machining, go to enable stock automation, right? So by the time we do our slots, we're gonna have our facing and we're gonna have these steps done, right? So if I wanna check out my slots, that's what lets me click it over here and go directly to the slots, right? If I don't have that, it's just gonna keep on showing the stock material on there. Does that make sense? So that's what the enable stock does. Now we hit OK. So now, I click that one, is that what I really want? Yes. Ooh, I'm able to see it, right? Hot pink up there now. Z up, bam. So now if I hit F7, my Z's coming towards me, yes, Y, and then X value, right? Just like the mill. Are you tracking? Alright, so a lot of people forget about the features and the key over here, right? So F2 turns on your features, correct? Alt Enter turns on the key. F11 turns on my layers. Was that a question you had earlier, Bill?
Yeah.
You said Alt Enter?
Well, no, not pulling it up,
All
just
sensor is key.
listing them in there and trying to figure out what's doing what.
Give me.
Sometimes I'll put them in there, and even though I click them, nothing's happening, so it's like
Alt Escape.
getting them the relations.
Yeah,
I
Alt
guess.
Enter.
Alt Enter will turn on the key and the value down there.
Oh, in theory.
Is this working?
For the key now. It's Alt Enter.
Help enter.
It's not turning on.
You know, I just did like 5 steps on this, right? You already having problems?
Hold down, alt, enter.
Because if you're under like a line or a function or you're doing something else, it's not recognizing that Alt Enter. Does that make sense? Like when you try to draw your lines, a lot of people what they do is they stay on a layer that they checked off. So when the lines try to go there, you're like, I don't see my lines. Well, yes, it's because you're making it under that layer and you have it checked off. That's why it's not popping up. So now I'm just gonna bring my layers over here. I like having layers because I like having a lot of control of my drawing, right? So I'm gonna select new. I'm gonna name this one Geo for geometry. Select new, part solid. Select new, chains. Select new, toolpath. Like I said, guys, it all depends where you go work at, whether they use all this, right? Some people don't, some people do. I take it as if I'm programming, I just need a guy to, and if I have a supervisor, I just need them to check it. If it cuts out good, great, let me do it my way. If not, okay, which way do you do it? And let me see if it's gonna benefit me or not, right? All right, so now that I have my key value up here, I'm gonna take off my sub elements, my grid, and I'm just gonna leave snap and grid on. Sorry, took off my high.
So the only time you put on sub-elements and high is when you're changing it to that Z-plane?
That, or like if I'm trying to get this line right here, and I keep on clicking like everything else but that. That gives you the option of, hey, do you really want this?
So you can isolate.
Yeah.
Alright, now outside of that, you're back in snap and grid.
Yeah. But I mean, later on you're gonna run into more functions of it.
Okay.
And how it's gonna work better, right? So now here, I'm gonna highlight the whole part, right? So look what happens on the key now. General comes out, correct? I'm gonna push that plus. Right now, since when I made it and I imported it, I only had a layer of default at the beginning, right? So by default, I went to default. Defaulted it. It's default. Alright?
The original drawing.
Alright. So down here, I can go to layer, click on default, and it gives me the drop arrow, right? Scroll down, and just click part solid. When I come back out here, I'm just gonna left check anywhere I want. Boom. Now, if I click part solid, the check mark, it's right under it, correct? Now, for my geometry, you guys see how I have toolpath highlighted, right?
Yeah.
If I smash it right now, it's gonna be under toolpath. So I'm gonna highlight Geo, right? Left click the part, right click it, go to copy, go to smash, make sure wireframe is on, hit OK. Left click anywhere to deactivate that, right? Now when I take off my part solid, my Geo's still activated, so they're on my lines. So if I take off my Geo, my lines go away too. Alright? Now we still need to make our stock material, right? So right now if I go to my switch to solid mill, because obviously I don't see that green looking, whatever the heck it looks like, little Legos or whatever, right? It's not up here right now, correct? So once I go over here to switch to solid mill, there it is, right? So I gotta click on this guy, go to simulation parameters. That's where my solid comes up. You tracking? Now, like I said, guys, most likely your part's not gonna come in already to the width and the length, right? So you would alter these numbers to match your width and your length because that's what your tool is gonna actually be cutting in real life, right? The solid that we put here, it's just for the simulator. That's it. So it's not all the time, well, it didn't crash here. Yeah, bro, but you had 150,000 more material on this side, and you try to, you know, take all that off in one shot, where it could have handled what you were gonna take off here, but since you have another 150 or 200,000 in real life, that's why we crashed, right? So you always wanna double check that. But the easy way for this one, push the arrow, click on your part, see how it adjusted my numbers for me, right? So let's say that my part actually came a little bit not wider than what I had, right? Instead of it being 8 inches, it actually got here at 8.5, correct? So I would put that at 8.5, and I would start my X at X negative 4.25. Does that make sense? So I would compensate that in here, right? Same thing for the width. So the width is 4.5, right? On my y-axis. Normally, if it was 4.5, it will come at 4.75. 250,000 is a little bit bigger, right? So you can clean up those faces, because you don't want sockets here either, or when it's just fresh off of cold rolled steel. Well, cold rolled steel is good, but when they make like a material out there, we don't have finishes on the sides, you don't want it like that, right? You would want a finished surface on the sides too. So that's when you would include that material. So a lot of times when we're doing this, and let's say we do this profile, and you don't see that color change, it's because you left it on that stock material.
But you'll know that dimension, right? Because you'll get like bar stock, and then someone will cut it to that a little bit bigger, and then that's what you'll have for your number.
Yeah, so it all depends on the shop that you work at. Normally, the people that work in shipping and receiving handle the saw too, right? But I've been in some shops, like especially if you work at night, you don't have that luxury. So if you're the programmer, you gotta go out there to the saw too and cut them to your lean, and then put it to the machine and everything like that also. Because it's just less working for you.
So you don't have to go back to this program and put in numbers every time, you know, like a little variation.
No,
You
yeah.
know what
And-
the rough is, and then you go out and cut it.
Yeah, so normally it's about at least 125,000 per side. Minimum, right? Usually. But talk to the saw people, get to know them. Some of these guys will come up to you and be like, hey, we got a bar stock of material, and here's the blueprint, what do you want me to cut it at, right? So the first question you gotta ask them is, well, how jacked up is the saw of an incline, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So ours is like 50,000 jacked up,
That's
minimum, right?
250.
So you gotta take that into play and add that to it so you get a clean surface.
I got a minus 5 in my first part. I'm not taking it.
On the saw, you got a -5?
No, because I cut my part and it had a low side and a high side because it cut it at an angle. So when I put it in the lathe, I was short. Like the low side was below.
Low side.
I give
the
Lone
same
Star
size.
-5.
Yeah.
Alright, so after we got this, we're just gonna hit add, and it's gonna add the stock. If you don't hit add and you just hit okay, it's never gonna create it, right? Now let's say I wanted to change that stock. I did want to change that number. Well, once I do that, I hit update. If I hit add again, it's gonna make another stock on top of that stock. Does that make sense? So when I walk by you and I see stock number 15, yeah, I know that's you jacked up somewhere, correct?
14,
So now we already hit add, we're good. Now we're gonna hit okay. So now when I hit my pause button, if I look at this corner right here, and that corner right there is what I'm really looking at to make sure that they pretty much line up the same, right? So pause, boom. Right? There goes my stock material. Does that make sense? Alright. So now that I have that, I can start identifying my chains and my torque path. Now, I know guys at the intro, you guys were just clicking like lines on the part itself, right? But in real life, you could lie to it and make your own lines that are not in the part to get what you want to do. And 9 times out of 10, you have to do that. Does that make sense? So, even though I have my drawing on there, I could still draw my own lines on the actual part, right? So, for example, for this one, I would take it to my top view. Move my letters out the way a little bit. I'll go back to unbounded geometry, because remember, that's where we have our tools, right, to draw. Well, I have them over here, but yeah, that's unbounded geometry. Is this one, see, I'm so used to SolidWorks, man, when we have a center.
It doesn't have a center,
Why?
because eSprit suck.
Alright, so, well, it's okay because we're gonna teach this lesson too, right? So, like we said, oh man, I still keep on thinking about SolidWorks, man. I was gonna convert the entities, you know, when you put the line
Not in
up here.
No, you ain't.
Alright, so, I guess I'm just gonna do it like this. So, I'm just gonna hit the top. I know there's a line from here, so 4.5 divided by 2, right? I know there's a line from here, down here to 4.5 divided by 2, correct? I know there's a line from here to over here, 4 inches, right? And I know that there's a line from here to over here to 4 inches, right? Guys, I'm just doing this in this order right now because it's, I'm showing you gotta do the facing. But if I was doing this in real life, I would take this one at least 250 thousandths over here and 250 thousandths down, right? Because I know that that's gonna help me out whenever I'm doing these 2 steps on the sides. But I'm teaching you one operation at a time, okay? So that's why I'm doing it this way. But normally, to save time, to make it faster, I would already make my square bigger than this, because I could use those lines with that chain again. Does that make sense? How do y'all want me to do it? The way I would really do it, or the step-by-step version? Step-by-step? Alright.
I think we
We'll
can
go-
differentiate.
We'll go step-by-step, because luckily we have 4 hours, not 2 hours, right?
So
that's
ideally,
something.
all sides, you'd have them out 250 thousandths more.
Yeah, because I know that later on, that could create a problem over here, because if the tool isn't thick enough to come over here on the side, it's gonna leave a little bit of material on there, right? So I'm gonna make sure it goes over it, and it cleans it up. Does that make sense?
And you're gonna face all sides anyways.
Yeah, you would want to profile it too. Yeah. So I'm gonna profile this one. I'll probably add more material to the stock, but I'll show you guys how to do that too. So either way, we'll use this chain for the profile, right? So I'm just gonna keep this one. Oh, I'm not, because I erased that one. All right, going back. So I'm gonna trim this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this one, and this one, right? Now, if I highlight this, hopefully I'm not doubling up on that line up here with my geo, which we might be, but we'll find out. So I'm gonna go to create, features, auto chain. It only made 1 chain, so we should be good, right? Now pay attention up here real quick, guys. I know some of you guys had that issue of, you see how the arrow's facing left down here? Y'all was saying, hey, can I rotate it, or can I put another spot to where that starts at, right? On this feature, depending on if you want to do conventional or kind milling, that's probably the only issue that you would have, because we're just facing. But I saw some of you guys get to the spear, or the gear, and y'all were like, hey man, it's starting inside of there. How do I make it start in the outside of it, right? So here we go. We gotta highlight the chain. Come over here, right click. Hit create, edit features. So this one popped out, right? So now here is reverse. You guys see the arrow? Right? So now here is new start. So new start, I want it to start from up here and over here. See how now the arrow's up here?
But the start is that corner dot, right?
Well,
Where's the start where the arrow is at?
You know, the
it's
corner
gonna
dot.
come No, it's gonna come from this direction when it's down there. I wanted it over here. I really wanted to come in through over here, so.
And it always chooses like cause I was trying to do that with the gear. Start it in the middle of the part, but it wouldn't, it always chose like
No,
a
it always
junction.
shows a corner,
Right,
cause it needs to approach it.
the transition
And
is,
descend it,
yeah.
yeah. So this, but that's how you would work it out. Play with it a little bit, boom, there it is, right? So I wanted to start here, mill this way, and then come over here. And you could do it bi-directionally, you know, one way, one direction, however you want once you start creating your actual feature. Does that make sense? So now I got it where I want it, so I'm gonna click my chain, right? I wonder if I could make my tools ahead of time. So for tool number 1, I'm gonna go to milling tools. I'm gonna click my face mill. So that's gonna be tool number 1, spindle direction, initial clearance, turret name, unmounted. Make sure it's going in this direction, guys. And there's more information down here. So tool length 3 inches, extension diameter. Tool diameter is 3 inches. Okay, that's fine. So here's where the inserts are at and everything. So when I hit OK, boom, it already made my tool number 1. Right? So if I make my tool number 2, milling tools, I'm gonna choose an end mill. Tool number 2, ID number 2. So here you can change it to like a 0.5 end mill, right? So here you're basically making your tools, but if you do it the other way, you still gotta come here, diameter 0.5, right? You still gotta come in here and change your actual tool number, right? So it's either or, correct? However you're gonna do it. So I'm just gonna hit OK. So I have my 0.5 end mill, and I'm gonna change this name to a 3-inch face mill. So I know exactly what I have. Alright, tool number 1, tool number 2. So come back to my chain, go over here to solid mill traditional, go to facing. So right here, which tool? Well, I already made it, right? So there it is. See how it infilled my numbers for me? It does that whenever you put a value on it before. But you see how it says feed rate 29.988? Some machines, especially the older ones, don't like that, right? They need to pretty much have a whole number, then a decimal point. So here I change it to 2500. Hit enter. Damn it. Let's go back into it. See how it changed those now to an actual whole number value? So that's fine, right? So now I want to go to strategy. Here's where if I wanted to go zigzag, it'll go zigzag. If I want to change it to conventional or climb milling, right? How many passes do I want? The step over diameter. So if I just want, if I put 50, so it's gonna compensate 1.5 inches of the tool, right? Every step over. If I put 25, it's only gonna compensate 250 thousandths of it. Does that make sense? So depending on what value you put on there, if I put 75, it's a 3-inch one, so it's gonna go 2 inches to 75, 2 inches, 750 thousandths, right? So the value of it, you can change it there. Depth, how deep am I gonna go? Some of you guys went into this problem, right? Y'all put 200 thousandths there on that gasket, and there's only 60 thousandths. So what happened when you faced it? You faced the whole gasket, right? So go ahead and put 5 thousandths on that one, right? Stock automation, you really don't need it for this one. Links, this is how you're gonna enter, down then over, exit, feed over, then up, right? So I'm gonna hit OK now. So you guys see how that was deeper and it came up, right? The toolpath. And it did that because of the depth. The original one was 125 thousandths, and I just tell it, hey, only go 5 thousandths, correct? So, over here though, I missed a step real quick. You guys see how it's highlighted, but it says layer geo, right? If I highlight this, it says layer geo, because I had geo highlighted the whole time, correct? Quick fix on that chain, I'll just click over here, chains, and I'll just click this one, quick fix, toolpath, boom. You guys wanna know how to do that because later on, you're gonna have so much stuff going on here, you're gonna wanna erase some of the stuff, right?
Or
have
maybe
it
you can
on
change,
display.
you need to be in the change layer, and then all your toolpath needs to be in the toolpath layer.
Yeah, so if I click on this one, the red lines are gonna come out, cause that's my toolpath, right? Boom. I'm gonna click on this one, my chain's gonna come out, correct? Too easy?
Yeah. You're not really using default. Default's just put everything there, and then you can create more.
Yeah, default, you really don't need anything on the default, alright?
Alright, now that makes so much more sense.
We learned.
Alright, so I'm gonna go back to chains, cause I'm gonna do a profile on this, but like I said, you're not really gonna see anything be cut, because my stock material is what it is, right? But I can always change it if I wanted to. So I'm gonna come up here to contouring. I'm gonna come up, and I'm gonna tell it,
Cut the
that you already get started. Oh, surprisingly, it's not. So I'm gonna tell you up here, profile, right? Change that to 500. Oh wait, when my speeds and feeds, I'm gonna go 2000. Which tool? We'll use the 1/2 inch anyway, right? Strategy. So here, that 50% is fine. Now, that is really gonna have to play. Let's say that somebody just cut this material way the hell out there, right? That takes how many passes you're gonna be coming in also, because of the diameter of the tool. Does that make sense? So it all depends how much more material you have also. So stock walls, if this part had to go into or sit in another part, and it was exactly 8 inches by 4.5, that's when I would baby it, right? I would be like, hey, when you go to the walls, leave 5 thousandths. So after I do my rough cut, I'm gonna measure it. And then I'm gonna change my value to see whether I take off more or less material. Does that make sense? On the stock walls of it. The floors, well, I'm gonna be doing the whole thing, so it really doesn't matter about the floors yet. Does that make sense? So my total depth, I want it to go deeper than what the part is. So if the part is 1 inch, I'm gonna make it go down more than 1 inch, right? So 1 inch and at least 25 thousandths, correct? So I can clean out the other side. 1.05. It's up to you, right? Really, it depends in real life how much extra material you got and how much it's holding, right? Because the more material the less material you have holding, the more this is vulnerable to vibrate or anything like that, correct? So, but you need to make sure that from the top of this part to the top of the vise, you have that clearance, or else you're gonna be milling on top of your vise. And good luck with that. Your end mill will lose, because that's hardened steel, correct, on the vices, right? Unless you have aluminum parallels, then, but you're not gonna be able to hold a piece after that then, so what's the point, right?
All that.
So this incremental depth, it all depends on what type of tool you're using and how strong it is, right? On each step that you take down. If I'm using an end mill that's high speed steel and I'm cutting Inconel, there ain't no way I'm gonna take that 1/2 of the part, right? But if I'm using a carbide end mill and I'm cutting aluminum, I could go 1/2 inch and it'll still be okay, right? So it all depends what tool you're using and what material you're cutting, correct? since this is class purposes, I like putting like a lot of passes, because students just get the visual idea better when it's more passes than just like one or two. Does that make sense? So I'm just gonna put 0.1 on mine.
So 11 passes.
So, right here, offset side cutter computer. So those radius cutter comp. I need to make sure that they're on left, right? Because my arrow's pointing this way. So I'm cutter copying to the left of it, right? If I was cutting in that direction, I'll be cutter copying right, because I'll be following this direction, correct? If I put the opposite way, my end was gonna be taking off that material, and the part's no longer gonna be 4.5, it's gonna be 4 inches, because it's gonna take 2, and it's gonna be a quarter here and a quarter there, right? That it'll take off. It's just the radius of the diameter of the tool.
Now, when you get to that part, knowing the arrow and the geometry, does the system know that it needs to automatically comp on
Yeah.
the outside?
Yeah,
So you
so-
wouldn't really have to change that unless you change the direction and it doesn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, it's gonna remember the last value that you put on it.
Okay.
So that's what it's gonna be thinking. You put this last, it should be the same thing. But you as a programmer have to double check it and make sure that is what it is, right? Now, look at this. Offset register in C, 5. Is that correct? Why not, Antonio?
Doesn't it have to be like the same tool number?
Exactly, right? That's gonna be your D value. If you have a 5 there, but I'm using tool number 2, that's gonna jack me up, right? So this is my tool number 2, so that has to be a number 2. Did y'all go through this
I just remember from last
in intro?
Not that one, no.
No.
We went over renumering the tools, but not on that part.
Okay.
I'm glad you told us that.
Stock automation. Now, here's where if the part was like really bigger, you would put yes. If you put no, it's just gonna take one shot. Does that make sense? So it's just gonna do one shot around here. So in my stock automation, if I had my stock, let's say, only 50,000s, well, I can do that in one shot. It's not a big deal, right? But if I had 300,000 of material here and 300,000 of material over there, I would want to take more passes and multiple passes, right? To get to it. So here, yes or no is not, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. Finish, that's the finish pass. So if over here, I left 5,000s, that finish pass is gonna come back and clean up that 5,000s.
That's because you have finished pass on the top, right?
Yeah. See how it says finish pass yes. If I push no, that goes away. Right? So learning how to use this is really gonna help you be a programmer in real life. Right? Because if you don't go through all these little check marks and everything like that, if you do get a programming job and you're gonna be like, whoa, that shows none of that, you're gonna be messing some stuff up. You're gonna be scrapping left and right. Alright, so links. This is not a big deal because we're just coming from the outside in and then going down. Does that make sense? So your links, you really don't have to mess with it right now. Distance. So depending on what it is, we'll see if we gotta mess with it. But we really shouldn't.
On that gear, you gotta mess with
Yeah. So it says, okay, toolpath cannot be because of unmatched geometries or features. So I think that one has to do with maybe this. Movement radius. Why are we not liking it? 0.5 end mill. I did hit contouring, right? Yeah. This contouring. Shouldn't be pocket. Alright. So it was basically saying, hey, you don't have that much stock material because it's to your stock, right? So that's why it's not letting me do anything. So unless I increase my stock in my simulation, it wouldn't let me do it that way. Does that make sense? Because right now when this one cuts, it's not gonna cut anything because we drew it already 2D.
Exactly.
Right? So that's why that little code came out. But trust me, guys, when you're out there in the real world and you're tired and you've already been working a 10-hour shift and that little thing comes out, you're like, what the heck, man? Why? And you're there for like an hour trying to figure it out. And it could be something that simple. Does that make sense? So, but now if I push it, there's my facing. And you see how I said that it's not going to be touching? That's because there's no material for it to touch. So,
But if you wanted to touch, you could extend the.
okay, Corey, let me make you happy, Corey. Let me make you happy. Jeez.
You said students need to see visual. Here we go.
Antonio, fix them real quick. Alright, so, we're going to just make it 8
One.
we can make it, 8.1. We'll leave it easy because it's only going to take out 50 thousandths, right? And then we'll just take it a little bit further and put a finish pass too. If we have 5 thousandths left, okay? So we're going to go 8.1, right? So obviously, if I just change that, I got to change my start point too because if I don't, it's going to leave more material over here than it is over here, correct? So that has to be negative 4.05, correct? So the same thing up here. If I make it 4.6, right? I need to make this what? Negative 2.3, correct? So the height, we're just gonna leave it the same as 1 inch.
Oh,
No
let's face
big
it.
deal.
Come on.
We faced off 5 thousandths already. So like I said, guys, we're not gonna hit add. If I hit add, I'm gonna create another stock, right? So I'm just gonna hit update and then hit OK.
What if you faced off 5 thousandths? Then you're gonna be under an inch.
No, you're gonna be under. Your price gonna end up at 995.
Yeah. Under an inch.
Well, yeah, but only 5 thousandths. That's my okay. It's gonna be 0.005, and it's gonna start at negative 0.005. There we go.
Because you're gonna get
Now it's
it's
gonna
gonna cut it too much. That's where
Okay.
you minus 5 points.
And hit OK. So now we face off, and we see how it's cutting that material now, right? Now we're getting the green on there.
Yeah.
All right. So now everything looks cut, right? So now, like I said, if we wanted to go to profile and tell it here, hey, for my walls, I want to leave an extra 5 thousandths, right, for a finish pass. So I'm going to put 0.005 there. And up here on finish pass, I'm going to hit yes, right? So now when my finish comes, I need to put an actual RPM on there, because if I don't, it'll still give me the post processor, but those values aren't going to be in there,
But you
right?
want a faster speed though for finish.
Oh, I put 500. So yeah, I'll put like 2,500 on this one, and your feed rate, I'll probably have it at 15 point. All right. So now it's gonna leave it at 0. So I could put multiple finish passes, right? I could tell it, hey, I want you to leave 2.5 thousandths, so at least 5 as rougher. Then it does a finish pass at 2.5. Then it does another one at 2.5. Does that make sense? So it doesn't just have to be one finish pass. You can put multiple ones on it, right? So now when I hit OK, a lot more lines now, right?
Oh yeah.
This came on. So this is going to be the first one.
That's your rougher. And no finish pass.
Why didn't it come up? Number finish pass is 1, 0. Passes after rough. And that should be the same. Let's increase this. Let's see what it does. that's why. They don't liking it. Why? Alright, sometimes what we have to do, and what most shops prefer anyways, is to separate these, right? So what I would do is, let's say I leave 10 on there, I'll take away this finish pass, so I'll put no, right? So now I will click on this again, and then hit contouring again. And then I will just write finish pass for profile. Go back to strategy. Now I'm gonna leave 0 on this one, right?
Cut speed gotta be higher though.
The what?
General. Cutting speed under general.
Running speed, 2,000? 2,500 is fine.
35,000. Yes. 35,000. There we go.
See, this is the preferred method because if I'm gonna baby it in, I have more control of it that way, right? And I don't have to run the whole roughing cycle again or anything. I could just run a finish pass and a finish pass. Does that make sense? Alright. So that's that one. So obviously we see a lot of lines and it's getting all cluttered now and we're getting all types of funkiness, correct? So I take on my toolpath and it's gone, right? So now what I want to do is probably do this slot, this step, right? And then do this step, correct? Because depending on if this material is like Inconel, why would I want to cut 375 thousandths if another tool is going to cut it anyways, right? And then when I do the slots, I'll probably have to use a smaller tool than a 1/2 inch, right? Because of the radiuses. Sometimes the radiuses might be smaller, correct? So what I would want to do is cut this step first, not the slot first. Does that make sense?
And you would T-pop that one?
Huh?
Would you T-pop that one? Since you have left or right?
No,
You
the
gotta build
V-top, it's not a hole.
Oh, that's only for holes?
V-tops are usually ones with holes.
Oh, so you have to do each side separately.
Yeah, but watch, you'll see what. Alright, so now we're gonna go back to F7. I'm gonna take off the chains too because I don't need the chain right now, right? And I'm gonna make this line first. So I'm just gonna go to geometry, line. I know that this line is at 2.5, correct? So if I try to make it from here over, I keep on thinking this is Solidworks. What actually did it? Oh yeah, this is weird. I keep on thinking this is Solidworks. Alright, so I know that from here to here, it's 1.5, correct? So I'm just gonna take it 1.75, 250 over, right? This line up, 0.25, 250 over, correct? This down, 0.25, 250 over.
And mirror it.
Yeah, so we're gonna trim this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and that, right? So now with these, I could just do that one, but let me see if the mirror would actually work. Mirror or translate? Mirror just sucks on this stuff.
Mirror.
Huh?
Mirror.
I don't like mirrors though. No, we're gonna copy, select plane using geometry. That didn't work. I'm telling you, it's another one, it's not mirror. Mirror, I would understand what mirror is,
It's symmetry.
but, yeah, it's either
It'll translate over Y,
symmetry,
over Y.
See, that's why I like SolidWorks better.
there you go.
Mirror, oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's
Three
mirrored
wires.
along
Yeah,
one.
I was just doing it, yeah, I ain't even trim.
Yeah, we can just trim the rest of it. But SolidWorks just makes it so much easier. It's
I
like,
make a change.
it's a mirror, so it's easy.
It is
So-
a mirror, it's a symmetrical mirror.
Alright, so right there, we're gonna create features.
Out, chain.
Now, notice that it made two of them. So some of these lines are connected. That's why that happened, right?
What's weird is that chain 3 only had a single line.
So, I'm gonna come in here, what I think it is,
That top left corner.
yeah, I'm gonna delete that one, and I'm gonna delete that one. I think it's this one that's coming into play with them. So here's when you would go to snap, sub-elements and high. So that one, yes, and then this one, yes. So you see how that edge, there's a line on the edge too.
Might as well sub that one on the right side as well, while you're at it.
So I'm gonna part solid that. Delete, you see how I deleted it? And there's still a line?
Yeah.
So look, if I highlight it,
That's the.
and I delete it, and there's still a line there, right?
No, that's the longer one.
Yep, now if I delete that, there's still another line under there. I think it's because the first face.
Look on the right, you have an extra line over on the right, you need to get rid of this row.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep just that one, right? So it's gonna be the same thing over here.
There you go. Nope. Too much.
We'll go back to it. But you guys see how just looking at this, you're kind of like, what's what now, right? So turn them apart solid again. Now when I create the line, I should be good to go.
Nope, there you go. Just delete that only chain.
No, yeah, but if I delete
Chain
that
two,
one,
though. It's still there.
yeah, chain 2 is still there. I didn't put another line on top of another line over here though. That's the weird part. Yeah, now we just made 3. I mean, we just made 1 line.
eSprit sucks. I said it. I said it.
Sprite sucks.
Change my mind. Change my mind.
Alright, so now I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to do this one first, right? I'm gonna do one side and leave you guys do the other, or probably just finish it up, we'll see. So like I said, over here I wanna rename it to one face, right? Because if I end up changing,
Profile.
yeah, well no, this is, cause this is just a facing line, right? And the profile anyway.
Yeah.
So if I end up changing the, if I take the numbers out, they're gonna be all alphabetized, right? So 2, I'll put left step, and then 3, I'll put right step, right?
The mirror.
So now on this one, I'm gonna click it, and I believe I'm gonna try to do a contouring. Let's see how that turns out. Contouring, left step. Go to my strategy. I know I'm only gonna go down how much? 0.375?
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's too far left.
Cut a compass still to the left, because it's coming over here.
Wait. Hold on. Look at your arrow. Shouldn't it be coming from right? Coming off that stock material.
Yeah, but I don't even like where it's at right now, so hold on, I'm gonna change it.
Are you in the right layer? Looks like you're in Geo.
No, yeah, but I left it in the toolpath, but hold on. Cut a compass left, register to stop automation.
There you go. That's good.
So now you see how it's looking right now, right? Now, if it doesn't clean up all the way, that's because I did the contouring, so let me just try to do this in pocket. You don't want to like that.
Pocket that shit.
So pocketing,
Sounds good.
pocket left step. Tool ID, that's 0.5 end mill. Back.
Let's go some air, baby. Zoop. That's under links, your exit
Yeah,
strategy.
the entry mode.
Helical.
I like it.
Those buttons.
Oh, yeah, mine did that weird shit where it was like coming in, making like a U, like this. Oh, yeah, and then, yeah. I'm not gonna change that. Did you do concentric out? Or which?
Hold on.
Helical continue.
There
There it is.
it's probably to where it's at. So now if I go for it, facing, profiling finish.
Boy, I tell you what. Looking pretty good, right?
Your likes.
See some y'all.
Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead and move the chains. And that to toolpath. Alright, now, I believe,
So these you do as a pocket, not a drill.
yeah.
This where you T-pocket? Or no, is that for drilling only? Or can you do that with
Yeah,
pockets?
it's mostly for drilling.
So just perfect circles.
See, on this one though, depending on the size of your drill, you could just probably, your end mill, you could probably just do contouring, because it's just gonna go through a slot, right? I could have used contouring on that step, but I would have to use a bigger drill. A bigger end mill for the step
because
over.
it left that box
Yeah,
in the middle.
in the middle of it, so the step over there would have taken it out, right? So, but if I was gonna use like a tiny end mill for this, then yeah, I would wanna do pocket, so it cleans up everything completely, right? So the actual tool diameter and the step over, I would have come into play with it also, right? So I'm gonna create features, make another chain. So call this one top left slot, right?
TO slot.
Top left slot. So like we said, it just depends, and look at the direction it is. I like color comp left, so we're gonna create features, reverse it out, right?
And that should be under chain instead of geo layer.
Yeah, but we're gonna switch it either way, so just, no big deal. Alright, so like I said, it can either be pocketing or contouring. We're gonna go with pocket. So now, remember guys, we're gonna have to make another end mill, right?
Yeah, that's what it's big.
Well, that's 281. We'll be pushing it. Let's test it out. Let's see what happens. So our total depth is gonna be what? 1 inch, correct?
Well,
Well, 1 inch and 50 thousandths.
that little pocket you're cutting out is only 625.
Right. Let me
But-
see if this has a starting though.
You might have to have 12 clearance from that. Part of the simulator board.
Strategy. There goes the clearance and everything.
Or if you just like select the specific chain that your blade does just that part only.
Yeah, it does. But I see my work in progress.
Over and over again. Like a Nelly Single song.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
So now each chain that you do, it'll save that same feature, so you can just go and then click a yes, and then click on the next.
Yeah,
like, keep
so if I
going
go
through
to the right chain,
Yeah.
well, I did that pocket, so it's gonna wanna make, if I make this pocket, it's gonna get the information from this pocket.
It'll
You know
just
what I'm
save
saying?
it, so
Whatever
you don't
was
have to
last
go
in
in
there.
and enter it every single
Because you don't
time.
default off.
Yeah, if you, as long as you don't push default off.
Well, that's what we were taught, but yeah.
So, and then it
Now we
depends,
can cheat the system.
it depends which direction also sometimes
Okay.
your arrow is going. Cause it's gonna, if you remember it's color comp left, but you make color comp right on the arrow, you just gotta switch over your actual
Okay,
arrow.
so you just have to
Right.
just check, double check that and, okay.
So let's make this one now, the right one. So I'm just gonna go back to pocketing.
Select it closer. That's what I had issues with early on. It's probably because it selected the other line.
Oh, is it select on that chain? Is that right?
We just use pocketing for this one though. Hold on. Please choose a closed feature.
How's it not closed?
Weird.
See, that's what eSprit says.
Saying that it's open on that. Everything should be, that's gonna be cut off right though.
No, the arrow's going that way. Well, yeah, because it's coming down, it'll be on your left.
Hello?
Flip the direction.
I have to remove. It's gonna go the wrong way. Alright, so this one
Just
is
gotta
gonna be
change
cut
the
off,
color comp, right.
yeah.
Same tool? There you go. Oh, you got your mouse.
Mine's fine.
Alright, so this is letting you do it on contouring, alright? That's because of the diameter.
do this.
of the tool. So we can lie to it a few ways. So one of the ways. How is that not? That is better.
This doesn't make sense, cause it looks like if the arrow's going up on the right, and coming down on the left, I mean, it's told me it's a beat to the left, but it only lets you select the right. That's so weird.
There you go.
That's right, you know.
Alright, so let's just
That'd
say
be the
though.
right- You gotta change the name of that operation that it writes the. Under
Oh,
three.
this
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Alright, so let's just say now that I would be using different tools for the actual steps and the slots, right? So if I came up here and I hit play, it did my profile, but I wanted to do this step, then that step, right? Right now it's gonna do this step, and then it's gonna do this slot, right? Then it's gonna come over here. You guys see that? Then it's
Yeah.
gonna come over here and do that one, but then if I have this slot next, I'm gonna be wasting time going back and forth, right? So here's how you fix that.
No one can speed it up.
When you go to operations,
I got, and change the order.
yeah,
Oh, that's what I was trying to do, so.
so the right step, I'm gonna put it right, I'm gonna put it right on the left step. Then I come back. Now if I start it up,
So why wouldn't they just have it to why do they have it to where you have to go to that and you can't just like take it in your features list and just drag and change? Cause that's what I was trying to do yesterday and I'm like, why can't you,
the
move it?
features,
they're not.
the features doesn't matter the way that it's organized. It matters in that third tab.
Cause I forgot to do my facing first yesterday on one of those parts and it was like the last operation and I was trying to move it to the top.
So there goes that, and like we said earlier, whenever you put some stuff on there, it's gonna remember the last that you put. So let me see if I could get this chain, copy it.
Oh.
And then
Does it already remembered to put
Then
it to.
copy it again across x-axis.
Right, but I would have to
The chain. just
top
the-
right slot.
Yeah.
So you can copy and paste your chains. So if I select that one, and I select that one, copy,
Across the
and on the X now,
And
there we go.
You just gotta change the names down the bottoms.
that plus, you probably gotta change the direction, cause you see how this is gonna come right? So the highlighted one, that one's top right, yeah, I still wanna change that direction. So it's going left now, right?
Left, right, yeah.
This one's gonna be bottom left, so rename to bottom left slot.
BOT. And your chain.
I gotta change the numbers too though, right?
Yeah.
That one's 4,
You
that
find-
one's 5, so this one should be 6,
Where's five?
the top right,
Okay.
alright? So now this one,
That's the bottom right. Now it's
so this one should be 5.
Yeah.
So this should be named bottom left, top right,
Bottom right.
7 bottom right, right?
7 bottom. And your chain, they hang low.
What?
Do your chains hang low?
Get the walls to the floor.
I hope so.
Alright, so now, since this is pocket, if I go back to the pocket one, or there was a way that,
It's cool to shoot that. You can copy the, operation as well.
that's just transferring.
efficiency.
Long as the direction of the arrow's right.
No, that's what I'm gonna change.
Now you gotta change them all to all
It's
your
just like
layers.
left. That should be right now. So now,
Can you tell me what it shows?
huh?
Can you tell me what it shows? You know, how to make your code
Yeah, should work, yeah.
and walk to the flow. And it goes this way and normally goes that way.
Oh.
Alright.
And if I wanted to make it just a little bit more efficient, I'll probably just have this one go first.
And then go,
do those two. Alright, because why is it gonna rotate
Is
one
it
side
that-
to one side? Yeah. So like we said, all that is if that was number 6, bottom left. Oh, I'd have to change the names too. See how right there is, I'd have to put bottom left slot.
So left side should be 5, 6, and 4, 5.
Now, how would you change the order? Would you just drag it?
yeah, right?
Under that, order of
Cause it
operations
goes,
tab.
yeah, you have to go to the
Yeah.
last one.
I just showed you guys earlier, but obviously somebody wasn't paying attention. Over here to the third one, right?
Means
So,
change the operation.
from the top left one, I want the bottom left one, right? So I just wanna pick this one up to that one. That's it. Now, if I play the whole thing, there's a profile, there's a finisher, there's a left step, comes over, there's a right step. I could have finished the slots on the left too, tomato, right? There you go.
Slot. You just gotta change all your slot
In the layers.
names. Layers.
That's one thing I always forget is when I create new things, I always have to go and change the layers.
And I mean, just as long as you do that by the end of it,
Yeah.
you're fine, because you can always go back and do it, right? So I'm pretty sure I have some layers that are messed up right now too. So if I click on that one, it's still in the geo,
Yeah.
right? It's supposed to be a chain, but big deal. I just changed it to chains, and that's it, right? This is a toolpath, it's in the geo. Big deal, go to toolpath. Chains. Toolpath. And everything else should be good. But yep, that's it though. So, all 3 steps, and we really started like at what, 8:30? Something like that, so in 1 hour I was able to do all 3 of them.
Try an hour and a half.
And then you would just put that into the, what's it called, the processor, and it would generate all
Yeah,
that.
so after this, right, I will go to File, Advanced CNC Code, click on this,
Yeah, that's what
Did you put a new plug in?
hit Open. Oh, no, it came on, now hit OK. Oh, sweat, don't look. Close your
And
eyes.
then, you know, you load it on the machine so
Right.
it crash.
G-code! So now, there goes all my code, my
Make that
tool
part.
numbers, and, well, this
Alright,
is the same
You
tool.
got 30 minutes, program all
So
that.
that's
and then-
G43H2.
Shit, I can't even get the first line down in 30 minutes.
So basically,
How
just
many
say
lines?
that to you,
7
take it over there and plug it in.
800 lines of code.
30 minutes, man.
Shit, it'd take me 3 semesters to write that.
You're gonna graduate before you.
There'd probably be a few errors.
My youngest son graduated high school for writing that code up.
But there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Error crash.
Damn. All those X,
Or you can do it
Ys.
manual and just.
All those X, Y, Z's.
So here's where like it has the tool number 1, G53H1, right? Those are the few things you need to watch out for, right?
Your offsets.
Yeah, and then over here, we pick up our tool number 2, right? G43, H02, G41, D02, right? If I would have left the other number at 5, like Antonio said, that would have said D05 on there.
Now, when you put it on there, most of the time, do you run this? You run the graphics on there before
Oh, of
you
course
run?
you
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, does it turn on the cool? It says M8 turns on cooler.
Yeah, I mean, because you can opt to leave that out or turn it on, whatever. But we got cooling in the machine now, it's
Oh, yeah,
good,
that's
so,
cool.
yeah, we're gonna leave it on there. But yeah, so this will be kind of like, all right, we did the program, we have everything. We'll go out there and touch off the machines and everything, and then we'll actually cut the part afterwards.
But also, can you like put this on a thumb drive, and run it out there and stick a thumb drive in and?
No, yeah, so you would wanna, you would get a thumb drive, go find an empty number, label this the empty number, and then go ahead and save it on there. And that's how you transfer it. Now, some of the programs that I've done, like the coins, the program was too big for that machine. So I had to run it off the thumb drive.
Wow.
Because it was over like 25,000 lines of code.
Damn.
So it
So,
depends on how.
Thousands?
That's,
Or it'd take you an entire lifetime, right?
I give up, you know, what, screw it, I'm gonna go.
we're just gonna go weld
Welding.
something.
Just
Yeah.
3D print, that's all I'm gonna do.
yeah, so that file takes up so much memory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the newer machines, it's not a big deal because they have a big memory on them. But like the ones that are like, you know, before, like if we're talking about Haas, before like 2015, 2013, 2012 type time frame, they still got that old memory stuff on there. But obviously it depends on the machines when they upgrade their memories and everything like that.
I mean, how big is the file? Like, I mean, for that many, it's just text code. It's just lines
Yeah,
of
it's
text.
just
properties
text
on
code,
that,
but it's
they'll tell you.
everything on there.
Right click properties. Right click.
Where do you see properties?
Hold it down, you go down there.
I mean, you could probably just save the file to desktop.
Go to file.
We'll go file, save as,
And then-
who has a flash drive? Here. Let me go ask him if he's gonna be on the mail.
Well, I only have my little, I already have the pockets done, I just have to get those holes. No.
I kept,
But mine's different than his.
I was
because-
trying to do the profile, and it was only doing one side.
Yeah, so I have an extra step, which the next time I do it, I'll use what he did, but so the part that it is, you know how it goes like this and it has the step, so I highlighted the outside lines with the steps, and then when I did my facing, it still just did the flat base.
Does that flash drive have a lot of stuff on it or not that much?
Not that much.
Okay. Just got a few
Just
drawings
which
on
one?
there. Why is it so cold in here?
No, I have
Yeah,
more.
you can feel mine.
Don't say it.
If
Don't
you
say
need
it.
another thumb drive.
At this point, I'd rather sweat.
No.
Open
I
the doors.
gotta work outside tomorrow and go with the army. Don't say that.
My buddy's actually about to.
I got more if, we need more.
He's about to get, well, he just got out, but he's gonna go back into the reserves.
I think that was called the black drive, black jump or something.
So I'm gonna go to file, save as, we put 490, black drive, file name, slot black, I'm just gonna name it O00490.
Is this supposed to be under NC files?
Yeah,
Okay.
numerical code.
Damn, it's cold. Like, I'm like, get that like jitter. you
It's
know?
not that cold on this side, it's cold in the center.
I forget.
It's cold everywhere.
I don't know, there's a damn vent, but it keeps on hitting me, man.
I think it's
I even see how big that file is.
Oh, it should tell us up there too.
Okay. Safety glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, try to have safety.
They were on the machine.
Where's
Junior.
He just plugged it in right there.
He's in a restroom.
Alright, how big is this damn file? How much memory it ran?
Is that, what does it say? USB device, 232 MB free. Not that much.
It's a baby.
Yeah, 'cause that's a 256
So,
megabyte.
let me try to save it to the memory under 490. Whatever those numbers just said right there, that's what it was. So it's
I
490.
think there's 256
Oh, you can even
megabyte.
put
There's-
parentheses to say which one exactly it is too.
Yeah, so here I would have put, slot part or whatever.
Okay.
So
Slot
memory, current commands, obviously the way I taught you guys, setting graph. There it is.
Spinning round and round.
The spin is roomy, and it's showing you how deep it's
Imagine
going
writing
to.
all that.
I'd still be riding if I started like a year ago.
Alright, let's see. I don't think we have a 4.5 wide. Well, it's not 8 inches long.
How long would it take?
I don't know if we have 4.5.
I don't know
I'm
how.
not sure. Because on the day they show like how many minutes or seconds
Yeah.
take each piece.
I don't know, but there's your part.
Or you have 25 minutes.
Yeah, right.